How's it going, everyone? It's Josh here with American Wilderness. Today I'm doing an updated review on the Condor Hudson Bay. About a year and a half ago I did a review on this. Since then I've made a few modifications and I've gotten a lot of use out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and run this knife through its paces. So the first test I'm going to do with this knife is taking down this dead standing tree. This is a pretty big blade on it, so if you're buying a knife this big, most likely you want to do some chopping with it. So one modification that I made is actually turn the convex edge on here into a Scandinavian grind with a file. And you know, it has a flat grind and now a Scandi edge, so it should go through this pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and take a few swings and see how it does. Alright, now normally I would not use a knife like this to chop down a tree. I'd usually use an axe. This is dead standing, so I could just knock it over if I wanted to, but the main reason I want to do this is also to show the edge retention on this knife. Chopping through a whole tree like this will really build out an edge, so we're going to see how this holds up. Next test we're going to be doing is a batoning test. Chop this chunk of wood out of that dead standing. Let me go ahead and see how this holds up going through it. Pretty dense wood. That's a good sign of a knife for batoning, is that big wedge in there. It means your knife edge isn't actually getting dulled out at all. Alright. Took a little while, a lot of effort, but this knife just tore through this really dense piece of wood. Not sure what species of tree this is, but it's a dense wood, that's for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this into quarters, baton it into quarters, and then do some carving tests. Alright, so I don't know if you guys can see here, the edge on this knife is a little bit dulled out. There's a little couple rollovers on there, but that's to be expected when you put it through such heavy use. But you know, this thing is still shaving sharp. The majority of the blade is still in perfect condition, so you know, it should do well in the carving. Time to test out the edge on this knife, see if it held up through all the heavy work. I'm going to try to do some feather sticking here. It's a pretty big knife to do feather sticking, and not sure how ideal this wood is for it, but we'll find out. Alright guys, this wood isn't super ideal for feather sticking or carving. It's a harder wood. So we're going to go ahead and try to find some soft wood. I think we saw some junipers in the hike in. We're going to get some of that and do some carving on that. So as you can see, this knife performs pretty decent. With finer carving, it definitely isn't as good as a small Mora or a smaller carving knife, because it's a big knife. It's not meant to do fine carving, but it can in a pinch if you need it to. So along with a modification that I made to give it a Scandi grind to give it a little bit better carving, I'm also going to go ahead and file it on the back, because as you can see, it doesn't want to throw great sparks off of a ferro rod. You can get decent sparks, but compared to something like this Jeff White French trade knife that has a good spine, it isn't nearly as good. So I'm going to go ahead and file it on the back, and if you're going to make any modifications to this, like doing a Scandi grind instead of the convex, or filing it down the back, especially if we're working on the actual edge itself, always use a file or a hand tool instead of a belt sander or a grinder, because you're going to end up ruining the heat treat if you don't keep it cool. So if you have some sort of whetstone that has a high grit, that would work well too. But I'd always recommend a good file, then working it down the stones, low grit to high grit, until you get to sandpaper or a diamond rod or something like that. So this is my review, or updated review, I guess, on the Condor Hudson Bay. If you want any specs on this knife, there'll be a link in the description to the Amazon page where you can get this. Because my last review, I did go over all the specs, so there'll also be a link to that in the description. That was actually one of the first videos we filmed here at American Wilderness, so it's only fitting that this is our first re-review. So if you guys enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to comment. I'm Josh with American Wilderness. I'll catch you guys in the next video.